Now that we've delved into the general overview of the IB curriculum, let's go into the specifics. So, Will, what advice do you have for TOC and the IB project?
TOC is the IB core that everyone has to do, and I think from my experience with TOC, I think what's important is to be unique in your ideas and your examples, because we know that it's very easy for people to fall into the trap of doing like a very overused example. And I think a lot of markers are looking for uniqueness in both your exhibition and your essay. So I would say that it's important to find a very unique object. And I think it's also important to relate your TOC essay with some of your personal experiences, which I think makes your essay a bit more personalized, and I think that will also make it more unique.
Now, I want to talk about your CAS project. So, as you all know, CAS project entails a creativity, activity, and service. So, would you be able to give us an example of what CAS project you did?
I did was my friends hosted a basketball tournament, and I think I really liked the idea because the CAS project not only was something that I had interest in, but it also went to a good cause, as we raised a lot of money for charity during the CAS project. So I think it was also valuable because me and my friends developed a lot of team working skills, and I think doing something on a larger scale in your CAS would be beneficial for you, because you really can show the IB a lot of your character development and your skill.
What about for your EE, so your extended essay, in which you write around 4,000 words on a specific subject of your choice? So I want to know what EE you did and what advice you have for students that have to do the EE in the IB course.
So you should do something, do it on a subject that you have interest in, and I think since in the EE you decide your own question and topic, I think you should take advantage of that and do it on something you have interest in, because if you have interest in something, you'll be more motivated to research more about it, and eventually you'll have a lot more to write about it. For example, my EE, I did it on sports science, and it's a topic that I'm interested in. Yeah. And you shouldn't do an EE on a subject just because you think all your friends do it or that it's the best subject, because that's just not true.
And lastly, I want to talk about your subjects. So you mentioned sports science. Since it is a pretty popular subject in the IB course, can you speak a little bit about that, about the course of sports science itself?
Very interesting subject, because a lot of people jokingly say that it's not a real science, but I think it's interesting because you do still use a lot of scientific techniques in sports science, but it's in investigating things about sport and health. So I think it's interesting, and I think for sports science, an advice to students that are learning it, I think sports science, you should just take a little bit of time each day to revise content, as it's pretty heavily content based. So taking a bit of time regularly and consistently to try and memorize content is good to do for sports science.
What about the more fundamental subjects like math or English? So I know you do English Langlit, and you did anticipated math in the AA course. So could you speak about those two courses as well?
Yeah, I think those two courses are, obviously both of those courses are essential. Maths and English are essential courses that everyone has to do. So I think in English it's a harder subject. Both language and lit have to do guided textual analysis and comparative essay on your text, and also the IO essay. So I think my advice for the guided textual analysis is just to have a good understanding of the text initially and to focus in and plan out your arguments and main points from the text, which is important. And for the comparative essay, since you already know the text that you'll be analyzing, it's important also to understand your text well. So as you're approaching the exam, I think it's important for people to reread your text and develop a deeper understanding to it. And for maths, I think it's just about doing more questions and fixing your mistake. So, at the end, I think maths is more based on how much just pure time you put into it.
I think we have all we need regarding the IB course from a Year 12 point of view. So thank you for joining our podcast today.